Welcome to the Healthy Skin Show with Jennifer Fugo, where we're flipping everything you've been told about your chronic skin issues upside down and connecting you with alternative solutions your dermatologist never told you about.
Welcome back to episode number 73 of the Healthy Skin Show. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of the key highlights that I have learned and have really been underscored for me by creating the Eczema and Psoriasis Awareness Week 2019. I know many of you were really interested in staying up to date on much of the research, and that was my goal in creating this Awareness Week. I had done this back in 2018, and it was such an amazing opportunity to consolidate information from a variety of different experts. But this year's event was just so much deeper of an exploration of not just current information, but also root causes that I wasn't entirely aware of last year. It takes time and energy to sift through all of the data, and I'm so grateful for all of the experts who sat down with me. Out of that grand conversation of these 18 different interviews, I wanted to put in front of you 5 ideas that I felt were really, truly mind-blowing and also change the way that you may think about your rashes. Before I dive into these 5 reasons, I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into why having shifts in perspective is so critical. Number 1, we're not necessarily exposed to everything that could be helpful for our skin, especially if you are only seeing an allopathic or conventional dermatologist. Some know more than others. Some have researched more than others, and some are more interested, like Dr. Peter Leo, for example, in alternative options than others. And there's also the matter that going down the alternative route may be outside the scope of practice of your dermatologist, which could ultimately get them in trouble, and they need to essentially stay in their lane. And if that's the case, that puts the onus on you to have to dig and advocate for yourself in order to find those alternative options. And that's one reason why I really love sharing this information with you guys here on the Healthy Skin Show. One reader recently wrote me and shared that the information that she's gathered, not just from the Healthy Skin Show, but also from skinterrupt.com, has been essential in helping her figure things out. Barbara wrote and shared, "You are the only one in my life and on the net who was able to help me through my own rash saga. Your information is amazing. Physicians are so very unfortunately lacking in training of any real help. I emailed you that my dermatologist, who is wonderful as far as allopaths go, tried like heck to get me on steroid creams for my rashes and then take an even more serious drug. And of course I yelled, 'Are you crazy?' Well, finally, I know that it was always a reaction to adhesives. And second, I made the connection between my skin issues and a zinc deficiency. Just know that there are those like me out there who would never have figured out anything without religiously reading everything that you post. You are fabulous, and thanks immensely." And that's why I love hosting events like the Eczema and Psoriasis Awareness Week. So, for the 2019 event, here are the 5 insights that I gained that I thought you would find most helpful. That's not to say that there aren't any other insights that you could gain, but these were the 5 that I thought would be most interesting for you to hear about in this short episode. Number 1, Dr. Carrie Jones and Dr. Jolene Brighton shared with us a ton of information about the connection between your hormones and skin rashes. And so one particular area of interest to me was the fact that estrogen dominance and even shifts in progesterone levels can cause major issues with your skin. For example, in the case of estrogen dominance, where you just have way too much estrogen floating around your system, and there are different reasons why. Sometimes it's because your estrogen cannot be cleared out of your system, and so essentially you're stuck with this elevated pool of estrogen. The problem is that high levels of estrogen decrease histamine breakdown, and that can drive very itchy skin. Now, here's the thing. An increase in progesterone can also increase your flares. And so some women, when they actually track their flares as well as their cycle, will notice that flares will occur around the time when progesterone spikes. And that's a pretty important clue, not just for a hormonal trigger, but that your body could also be not just sensitive to progesterone, but potentially allergic and reacting to it. Number 2, we know that inflammation is a major driver of chronic skin issues. And one piece of the puzzle that was underscored for us by Karan Krishnan is that endotoxemia can cause major issues, not just in your gut, but when those endotoxins cross over the gut barrier into your body, they then can drive inflammation internally that shows up on your skin. Third, CBD oil might be more helpful than we even think when it comes to eczema. And I'm going to put a little caveat there that even potentially for psoriasis. But the conversation with Dr. Peter Leo, which was based off of a paper that he wrote published in a dermatology journal all about the benefits of using CBD oil topically, could actually make major improvements in not just the quality of your skin, but helping to get patients off of their steroid creams and other medications, which is quite mind-blowing, to be honest. So one of the keys here, if you want to give this a shot, is to avoid CBD oil where the base is coconut, MCT, or anything else that is coconut derived. The base needs to be hemp oil or olive oil, and the CBD oil needs to be a high-quality, full-spectrum CBD product from a reputable company that can prove to you through third-party testing that it actually is what they claim it to be. Number 4, understanding the importance of a little-known micronutrient called molybdenum. Molybdenum can be very helpful with chronic skin issues, especially if itchiness is one of your major symptoms. Some research indicates that molybdenum may be helpful in those who have histamine as well as sulfite sensitivities. And Chris Masterjohn discusses how a histamine or sulfite sensitivity could actually be a sign of your body requiring more molybdenum in order to make things happen how they should in your liver detoxification systems. Now, we have discussed molybdenum briefly in episode number 42 with Krista Bigler. So it's pretty cool that Krista came back for the Eczema and Psoriasis Awareness Week and is diving pretty deep into deconstructing those liver detox pathways and all the things that can hijack them that in turn hijack your skin. And last but not least, number 5, mold. Mold exposure can be a huge problem for complex, tough skin cases. Here's the thing with mold that I uncovered in the process of doing all these interviews. First of all, you don't need to see black mold in your house to have a mold problem. And in fact, a lot of people never see mold in their home, but actually are living in a space where they are chronically exposed to mycotoxins. You can have mold in your car. It could also be at your place of work. It can be hiding in different areas of your home, even the crawl space underneath your house. And it can be in things like old books. Here's the other piece to this. We discussed some really simple ways that you could potentially identify mold as a trigger. Our one expert, Dr. Stephanie Davis, discussed how a drop in hormone levels and a drop in her white blood cell count clued her in to an ongoing mold exposure that was actually hijacking not just her skin, but also her health, even though her inflammatory markers, like her C-reactive protein, was fine. I have to acknowledge the fact that out of 18 talks, picking these 5 points was really difficult because every single talk has so much information within it. That's why I would encourage you, if you're really still struggling and you want to dive deeper than we typically do on the Healthy Skin Show, head on over to www.rebuildhealthyskin.com and tune into these episodes. My goal in sharing this information was not to overwhelm you because, as you know, there are 16 root causes of chronic skin issues. But instead, it's to help you connect dots and realize the stones you have yet to look under could be your next opportunity for addressing your skin and ultimately your health. All of the links and references that I have discussed can be found in the show notes over at skinterrupt.com/073. If you pop over there and you've got questions or comments, leave them on that post. That way we can continue the conversation. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. And of course, share this episode with someone who may be wondering if something else could be underlying their skin. And hey, maybe it's not a steroid cream deficiency like we're oftentimes led to believe. I'm saying that somewhat in jest, obviously. But yes, please. And if you have enjoyed the show so far, don't hesitate. Head on over to your podcast platform of choice and leave a review. I would love to hear from you about what you love about the show and why you think someone who's looking for a new show to tune into could get a lot of value out of joining us. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you'll check out the Eczema and Psoriasis Awareness Week 2019, and I'll see you in the next episode.